Hello and welcome to this lecture where I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the interface of the mixer. One thing we're going to do quickly first though is just change the sound of the bass because there's a lot of reverb on this. So let's just listen to this back. So change this over to pattern mode and I'm just going to hit play now. As you can hear, there's a lot of reverb. So let's go down to the channel rack and then click on this channel, which is named Flex. And this will open up this synthesizer, which allows us to change the sound of this instrument. And all I'm going to do now is just turn off delay and reverb. And let's close this synth and have a quick listen back now by pressing the play button. Okay, great, that's a bit more suitable because for a bass sound like this, I don't really want that much reverb or delay. Okay, and now let's get back to the mixer. So we can open and close the mixer by pressing Function F9 on a Mac or F9 on Windows. We can also go over to this icon here, which will also open and close the mixer. As you can see, the mixer is only taking up part of the screen right now. However, if I click on the mixer to make sure it's selected and then hit enter, this will allow us to full screen the mixer. Generally though, I will work with the mixer in this smaller window size. However, for sections of this lecture, I will be full screening the mixer. So what the mixer essentially allows us to do is blend the different tracks together to get a more balanced mix. So now let's just have a look at the different areas of this mixer. And I'm just going to full screen this mixer by hitting enter. Okay, so this track over here on the left is our master. And this is the main output and all audio signal will pass through this. And to the right of this, we have our different inserts. Here we can see they go from 1 to 25 at the moment. However, we can scroll across to see more of these inserts. These different inserts are also assignable from the channel rack. So if we look at the channel rack now, we can see our drums are coming out of the channel rack and going into insert 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I'm to play a drum beat pattern, for example, let's use this pattern, drum beat 2. And if I play this back, you'll be able to see in the mixer that inserts 1 and 3 are active because this is for the kick, which goes to insert 1, and the hats, which goes to insert 3. And you can see this is indicated by the meter on the inserts. You can also see the meter lighting up on the master channel because the audio is going from these inserts through to the master channel. Let's just play this back again. Okay, and on the right hand side of the mixer, we have this inspector. So this inspector allows us to add 10 different audio effects onto the selected channel. So right now, the selected channel is the master. And we can see down here, we have the fruity limiter, which by default is set up on the master channel. So now if I just select an insert, let's select insert 1, for example, you can see that there is no limiter on this channel. So this inspector displays the signal chain for each individual insert and also the master channel. So the inspector changes depending on which insert channel is selected. However, if you can't see your inspector, be sure to check this icon up here. And this will allow you to open and close the inspector. Also, if you click on this arrow in the top left of the mixer, this will open up the option menu for this mixer. We also have this little drop-down arrow, which actually changes the display settings for this mixer. And at the moment, we have it set on wide. However, if you wish, you could change it to another display setting, such as compact, which allows you to see more inserts at the same time. However, I'm just going to go back to wide for now. Okay, just to show you again so you can understand the signal flow, I'm just going to play the bass part back now, which is flex on our channel rack. So I'm just going to select the bass pattern. And just before we play this back, you'll notice that the insert isn't actually assigned. And you may have noticed there that this audio was directly going to the master channel. This is fine. However, if I want to mix this instrument individually, I will have to send it to its own insert channel. So I'm just going to change this now to an individual insert. So let's choose an available one, insert 6. You can change this by clicking on this box and dragging. You can also right click and go down to type in a value to manually type in an insert number, for example 7. Now if I play this back, you can see it's going through insert 7 before going to the master. And we can also visually see this through the virtual cable, which is down here. So it's showing the insert is going to the master channel. So I'm just going to make this mixer full screen again. I'm just going to use the shortcut Shift and Tab to select the mixer window and then hit enter to full screen. So I'm just going to go through now an individual insert channel on the mixer and show you what the different things actually do. So at the top, we have the name here. So here we can rename the channel by right-clicking and selecting Rename Color and Icon. So I'm just going to call this one Base. And let's change the color as well. And hit Enter to save this. And next we have this meter here, which displays audio signal. And then going down, we have our mute and solo button. So if we left click this, it will mute the channel. And if we right click this, it will solo the channel. And going down, we have our pan dial. So here we can have the channel center, left or right. And going down, we have reverse polarity, swap left and right, and stereo separation. At the moment, these are less important than the other features of the mixer. However, these are advanced mixing options that we don't need to worry about at the moment. And going down here, we have the volume fader. So this simply adjusts the volume of the track. So you just pull this down to reduce the volume and up to increase the volume. One thing to note is this volume fader comes after the plugins on the channel. So if we had some plugins loaded in the inspector here, this volume control will come after all of the plugins rather than before them. And then going down, we have this button here, which allows us to enable or disable the plugins on the channel. On channel 7 right now, we don't have any plugins. However, if we go over to the master channel where we have this limiter, we can enable or disable any plugins with this switch. So when this icon is glowing, the plugins are active, and when it's grayed out, the plugins are disabled. And then going down, we have the track latency icon, which we're not going to go over now. However, all this does though is just compensate for any latency that the plugins are creating. And then going down, we have the track record arm button, which we're going to look at in the recording section. Okay, so it's important to remember that each one of these individual channels have their own separate controls. And the inspector will show the channel information, whichever channel of the mixer is selected. Each one of these tracks has its own individual effects chains. So if I just go over to the inspector now, I'm just going to run through some of the features we have on it. So at the top here, we have the audio input source. So if we were recording a microphone, for example, we would choose our input here. However, we're going to look at this in the recording section of this course. And then going down, we have the individual effect slots. So for example here, you could add a reverb. So you can add a plugin by just clicking on the drop down arrow here. And to the right of this, we have this dial, which is a blend dial. So if I just go back to the bass track and add a reverb plugin here. So to do so, I'm just going to click on the top of this track here, which is track 7. And then go over to the inspector. And then for slot 1, click on this drop down arrow and select reverb. Now, if we play this back, you can hear there is some reverb. I'm just going to turn up the wet amount on the reverb here. And there you can hear more reverb. So what we can do with this dial on the right here is control the amount that this plugin is affecting the signal. So if I play this back now and pull the dial down to the left, it will reduce the amount of the reverb. And this can be quite a handy feature. And to the right of this, we have this green light. And if we click on this, it allows us to bypass this certain plugin. So if the light is off, we won't be able to hear the reverb. However, if we turn this light back on, the reverb is active again. So here we have 10 slots, so we can add 10 different audio effects, and the audio travels from the top slot down to the bottom slot. And going down, we also have a free band equalizer, and this allows us to quickly and easily EQ our signal. However, we're going to go over EQing in detail later on in this course. And then going down, we have delay compensation and an audio output target, but we don't need to worry about these at the moment. Okay, so that's just a brief overview of this mixer, and we're going to be going over more features of this mixer in the next lecture. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture.